Hello. In the comments, some people have been asking about the work that I do personally, and that's kind of the funny thing because I've been trying to get a lot better, and I always have work, but I do like scribbling for fun on the side. And about that is that when I like to actually make art that I like to save, I like to do it traditionally. I like to do it on Bristol Paper 300 series. And the thing is, sometimes with the work I do, I want to get it to a higher level before I like share it. I do like what I do, and sometimes I end up finding things that I like, but I feel like there's always more. Like, I don't know, until I get to a level I truly like. Sometimes I have to wonder like what I even put um on the pages. Sometimes I just save stuff that I feel like I would otherwise throw away. But this is a character. Well, I don't want to say character. This is kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I think of work, and I and I don't like I deal with like software code and whatnot, but I compare it to some other work that I've done in the past, like a long time ago when I was like in high school. But this is a character. He's a bug, but he has a but I didn't even go that far, but just he has like a spatula in his head, and I had this whole idea for a story that I want to make, whether it be single panel or like some type of comic strip or something like that. But basically, he's a bug with a spatula on his head, or more like his horn, if you're familiar with like rhino beetles. There's a lot more that I need to do, of course, and there's probably more that I could iterate on. But I wanted to share. I wanted to share it because a lot of people mention like, "Hey, what do you do for fun?" And I do. I I do have better examples of my work, but yeah, I've been really thinking about how to best kind of like kind of vent my frustrations in life. I know that's weird to say, but doing it through art is probably one of the good ways. This was kind of like a more. I probably should iterate again, but that was like this is what I did when I was first iterating. Ignore the really bad rendering of a rhino beetle. Yeah, I if I had to give a tip, probably one really good tip is to think of it from more than one perspective. I think it's always a bad idea to just do something from one perspective, and kind of my thought process here was that try to do it from as like many different angles and perspectives. Even if you don't know it, maybe try it. If I had to critique some of my work, I'd probably think about using a box to represent the bending of the spatula. Because though it's a 2D thing, I mean, heck, you don't have to use a box. You could even use just a 2D plane. And when I say a plane, I mean like sometimes doing a box and trying to fit into a box, I find it kind of too restrictive. So like, see, I'll do a quick drawing here. I don't like to draw on the work that I already have done. I mean, I will do that. Like, I know I dated it. Oops. I know I dated it already in the lower hand corner. But I've been doing this. I've been doing this for a while. And just to say, like, I don't date all of the work that I do. I kind of only recently have been doing that. I find it kind of stupid, but the only reason why I've been dating it now is because when I do work that's iterative, or like I do iterations on my work, I do like to put a starting date. I think it does put me in perspective, if that's the it puts my work, maybe when I see some improvement. So I have this, and yeah, you can fit it in a box, but I think thinking of it as like a plane that's kind of like bending in 3D space could be a lot better. Sorry, I'm trying to hold it. I had been thinking, wow, I'm being really stupid right now because I'm looking through the camera trying to draw it. I've been thinking when I do share more work, I want to share more stuff traditionally. I really like traditional tools. I know it's really weird, but I've been doing digital drawing for a long time, and I do like it. Don't get me wrong, but I find myself going back to traditional tools. I don't know, maybe it's the feel. And funny thing enough is that when I first got into drawing, I was doing all traditional tools, but I was just using regular printer paper, and I didn't like the feeling of it. Like, I do like the feeling of traditional drawing because it's more gliding. Ignore that line right here. But the thing I'm trying to say, I should have bent it more. So, you have a spatula here, and it's kind of like bending more than anything. Just an idea for like a plane sitting in 3D space. But yeah, I really do like the smoothness of Bristol paper. That seems to be something I really like. And, I don't know, it just encourages me to save my work more when it comes to traditional. That's just my stupid pet peeve and my personal opinion. You don't have to do that, but that's just something that I found myself doing and liking more. And I think, liking art, kind of rekindling certain passions that may have disappeared. Well, I don't mean to say disappear. I mean, like when you're doing, I feel like when you're trying to improve, like I have to say, for probably for a couple years, probably since 2019, I never really found it worthwhile to save anything I've done. The only stuff I really saved was from my Drawbox stuff, and to say that I saved it means that it's only like hosted through like Imgur through Drawbox, so it's like I don't like saving stuff on my computer. It's just one of those things in which I've had so many computer problems throughout my entire life that, like, I've had so many USB drives go bad, external hard drives, computers just go, and like, yeah, you can keep in the cloud, but I don't know. It's just my pet peeve. And funny thing enough is that's like what I do for a living, and I tend to like it's just put like a fear in me in the back of my head. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so yeah, I definitely well, I drew a box here because sometimes I feel like summarizing it in like a plane in 3D space, a 2D plane in 3D space is better than using a box. You could use both, but I don't know. I was just experimenting and having fun. Not every the other thing I would say is whenever I do stuff like this, sometimes I may even do it over the course of a couple days, and I like to enjoy myself more. I like to not think of time. That's kind of the big thing. I mean, I like to make stuff, and I'm conscious of that. But if I think about like, hey, I could be improving during this time. I mean, I like to get out of that mindset because I feel like it could become constrictive. But when I do this, yeah, I really just let my mind experiment. But I will try to look at some reference here and there, even though I may not follow it to a T. Like, clearly, there are a lot of things that I didn't follow to a T. Like, I didn't, well, I was just trying to be a bit experimenting, or I'm not sure if that's the right word to describe it. But yeah, a lot of these, the idea was to make character sheets, and also iterate. I have another one that I wanted to share real quick. So kind of fitting into the theme of the food, because the other one was like a bug with a spatula for his horn. I was thinking of like, oh, I did this one before that? No, after. I was thinking of like a front, like a cashier, and it's like this fly. And yeah, and it's I was just really going with it. I don't know. I guess you could say I think about work a lot, and it's kind of funny how that finds work in the work that I do. But yeah, so a lot of that, I found myself needing a lot of work, but I do what I can, and I have fun with it. And the other thing is, you may see it's kind of sparse. I mean, clearly bad as well. I don't mean to say bad. I mean, just saying needs work compared to like what I kind of learned over the last couple of months when I've been doing this frequently. Like, I have found myself making stuff that I'm like, I really like this design, but other times I found myself I really need to be looking more at physical reference. And if I had to like say something else, I really do like using like books of images. I do like websites too, but takes time to find like the good images that I actually like. The other thing that I would say, sometimes when I do this, I actually don't see myself getting burned out, and I'm able to usually draw for like long periods of time. But as I've been going, I used to use smaller pieces of printer paper, but recently I got 11 by 17 11 by 17 printer paper, and I found this works for me really well, even though it is a bit scratchy when I use a pencil, and I ultimately like using Bristol Paper Series 300 Smooth instead. I don't know, I just like that better, but this is still pretty good if I'm just trying to like iterate or do any type of practice. And I always caffeinate myself up with like an energy drink, usually sugar-free. Oh, I mean, almost always sugar-free. I tend to avoid sugar. I don't want to be like jittery, but I have to watch myself with my caffeine intake. That's just a little tip about myself. Because if you have too much caffeine, you may be jittery and you may be a bit off when you're drawing. The other thing is, like, when I've been trying to do anything on the page, I usually have my left hand on the page with my right hand using a pencil until I figure out a setup that I can do to kind of like a tripod for my phone until I get my computer fixed, which that's a whole nother stupid story. But I guess I'll maybe talk about that quickly, in which, like, so let's just say some family accidentally spilled water on my Mac, and it's not too big of an issue. But I've been trying to like find places that would fix it for me, but like some places were like, we don't do that because that could have damaged the motherboard. But I'm like, I think it's just the battery draining to zero. It's something wrong with the battery, but they're like, I don't know. I'm still trying to find someone to see if I can fix it, because I really hate that I would have to throw away something that I feel like could be fixed. I mean, I don't like to waste anything, so it's kind of like a bit of my philosophy. But yeah, to make a long story short, that's been the fight that I've been going at and trying to find time to actually go to a place that can fix it for me. I mean, that's just frustrating the living heck out of me. The other thing I wanted to say, I think I may have mentioned this in previous videos, but I got this cube, and it's a timer, and I just used a simple functionality of it. And you put it down, and it starts like a 5-minute timer. And originally I had an app on my phone for this, just a regular Pomodoro app, and I think it was good, but I really like this one. I have to say, I feel like a lot of technology these days has become incredibly focused on keeping you as engaged for as long as possible. And I think the downside to that being that it's meant to distract you and kind of take you away from whatever you're doing. So I feel like if you really want to stay focused for any periods of time, good luck. I mean, it's kind of funny because even like I'll study some things on YouTube. Like recently I've been looking at a YouTuber. His name is Tim McBurney, I think, and he's like the drawing codex. And he makes a lot of good videos. I mean, I can't believe it. Like, that stuff I would, like, oh, I don't mean to say it like that. I mean, pay for. I hate to say it like that. I mean, I just mean to say his content is incredibly high quality and very informational, but also keeping myself in perspective, because I feel like one of the big problems with any drawing information you get is that a lot of it you can't even execute until you've had a good deal of drawing experience. Like it's kind of like you could try it, but you'll fail and it's worth it. But I feel like there's just a lot of stuff that your mind will refuse to learn until you have a couple years of drawing under your belt. And I hate to say that, because it's like, it's really unlike anything else I ever have done in my life. Like I feel like with programming, it does take a long time to learn, and of course there's always something new you could learn at it. But I feel like eventually with programming, you may like satisfy the things that you're trying to do, and maybe you don't have to, like, it's good to be conscious of it. But I mean, like, if programming, rarely do certain languages get updated with I mean, that's a bad argument, but just saying, like, I feel like you learn stuff and you could use it and you're good on your way. But I feel like with drawing, there's such a high level of experience and that you need before you could really absorb other skills. And it's just one of those things. So yeah, I wanted to make this update video to kind of talk about that, because I do make videos that I release in advance, or like, I have a lot of videos just to, of course, for the almighty YouTube algorithm. So like I do like my idea behind that was to have like a weekly schedule for when I post, but also when I wanted to share something of significance that I would share it. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like I'll tell you another thing I've been learning, which I kind of take from software. I mean, software is just my perspective on it, in which sometimes when I'm away from drawing, I'll get ideas for drawing, and then I come back and I execute on those ideas, and I really been liking that. It's really interesting how, like, I used to have the same thing with software, and I hate to talk about that because that's not what this channel is about, even though I have done some software projects in the past, and not all of them turning out as perfect as I want them to, or maybe them becoming incredibly overwhelming. But what I was trying to say is that I've been, yeah, I've been really focusing on drawing more these days and really trying to improve. I think I would need to get a lot better at perspective. I feel like I have some confidence when it comes to my lines. Just to tell you, I'm kind of really off here in a lot of this drawing that I'm doing here because I have my phone in my left hand. And I usually have, I have my phone in my left hand and my pencil in my right, and I usually use my left hand to anchor the paper. But yeah, 11 by 17 paper is pretty good. I feel like you're able to fit a lot on the page before you have to get rid of it. But yeah, I want to say, what else have I been up to? I think a couple months ago, I did release some updates for the current software that I have, but, you know, trying to think, I really want to focus on drawing more. I feel like when I go on side projects, I feel like I kind of go too off of what I was originally trying to do. I don't know why I do that. It's just been a bad habit that I've been trying to break, and I want to focus more on drawing projects. That would be my main focus, and sharing stuff more when it's relevant. But I'm really glad that I was able to share a couple pieces of some personal work that I've been working on, even though it's a little bit old at this point, because when I'm recording this video, it's December right now. And there's a lot of other work that like I would share, but I don't know if I should, because I feel like I want to use it in future projects. Because like a lot of these things I've been doing is making designs for like characters and whatnot. And I probably will use them, but I may need to iterate a few more times. But yeah, I don't know. Sharing personal work is one of those things in which I feel like a lot of people are hesitant to do because people may get feedback they're not really asking for, or like, you know, but I don't mean to say that's a bad thing, but, you know, it's like when you share that with the world, it becomes, it's kind of like vulnerable. It kind of makes you vulnerable, and I think YouTube does a really good job, and social media as a whole, it does a really good job at getting you to overshare stuff you wouldn't otherwise. And I've always been wondering if that oversharing, is that related to, is it the human condition, or is it social engineering in a sense? Because I've always begun to think that when it comes to how everything works in the software world, it's all about data. And I've always been thinking to myself that, like, how much of it is it truly about other people just wanting to know what you're doing? I think that's a big part of it. And I don't mean to sound conspiratorial when I say this, but, like, especially when it comes to data mining, if you know a little bit about that, I always wondered, it's just one of those things, you know? Like, you can never tell if someone on the internet is real or if they're a robot. It's incredibly difficult to tell that. I mean, it used to be easier to tell, but sometimes, I don't mean to say it like that, but I sound very weird doing that, but I'm very aware of the software world. Granted, most of it's a black box, but the reality of it is that I just don't know. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to share something, even though I didn't really share everything. But I don't think I should. I don't think it would be a good idea for me to share everything I do, because even the stuff I shared is pretty personal. You know, it's just very, I don't know, I'm not sure how to put it. You know, I guess talking about life through comedy in one sense or another could be very a good way to get energy out that many people would otherwise maybe store in and just hold in as resentment. But I don't know. But I'm glad I was able to share that. But yeah, I don't know about sharing more. I'd have to think about that. And I don't want that to be up to anyone but myself. I think I definitely could share myself doing personal projects using those in the future, but yeah, it's really hard for me to determine that. I think I have to really keep myself in check and just not be close to wanting to share everything with the world, because I think sometimes that's kind of what is expected, and sometimes I think it's maybe, I'm not sure how to put it. It could be good, but I just wonder if it could be a bad thing. I know that's kind of weird to say, because on this channel, I do like to talk about, I probably have overshared way too many times, whether people are interested in it or not, that's more of just a personal thing. But yeah, I think that's kind of just, I feel like especially when it comes to oversharing, a lot of it is based around the fact of, the human condition more than anything else. But yeah, you'll definitely see. There are definitely big projects that I want to work on when it comes to drawing, through visual storytelling. But I just want to get more experience at it. And I know I can't say that forever, because if you're always improving. But I would say the case against that is I am trying to improve and I am making stuff, and I think maybe that's the right direction for me to be going. Like, I think it would be one thing if I'd be talking about something and never making any art to keep for that, but I feel like at this point I definitely have made some effort to save more of my work. But yeah, so that's been a little bit about what I've been up to, and I see myself continuing to do that. I do make art, personal art, when I can, more than when I have the idea. I will say that, like, I had some ideas recently. Like, I had pretty much a good span of a month when I was making character sheets for different ideas that I had. And it was at that point that I realized, like, I got stuck one day trying to design something, and then I designed it a different way, then I designed it a different way, and it was like, no matter how I designed it, I just wasn't happy with how it was turning out. And I feel like that's just kind of, I feel like I didn't have a really good grasp of what I was aiming for in my head, and I think that I made another character that was kind of similar to it, so it didn't make sense for me to continue with that. And I think sometimes deciding to scrap an idea is an art in itself. I guess, like, not valuing every single thing you make. Well, I don't mean to say not valuing, but I mean maybe know when something isn't working out, and either maybe put it away and try again, or think about it more. Because I've made some stuff that I thought was really cool, but iterating is definitely a big key. But yeah, I definitely have more things planned. I had thought about other ways to share content. I really need to get my computer fixed. Considering how we're reaching the end of the year, I'm always trying to think of how to, like, what I'll be doing. I think improving a lot, trying to get a lot better at perspective is probably one of my big goals. Because, like, I feel like I have some drawing confidence now, which is something that, I'm seeing myself make some stuff that impresses me, even though I clearly need a lot more work. But I do like that I've gotten to that point. Like, I guess you could say the difference is, like, when I was in college, I found that, I feel like math, well, of course, math is very concrete, but I know you could always go further with that too. And this may just be a plain bad example, but with math, it's really reliant on doing a sheer ton of practice, and knowing formulas and knowing how to apply it, knowing how to handle different things when you encounter a certain problem. But, like, with drawing, you may have the idea of how to encounter it in your head, but you may lack the muscle memory drawing skills. I mean, I guess math is the same when it comes to knowing how to do it, but I feel like the execution of drawing, it's so interesting to me because of how hard it is and the challenge behind it and the things you can make. And it's just, I don't know, I don't know, it makes me think like I never have thought when I was younger. So I do continue to like it no matter what paths I go down with it. But yeah, I hope this video was interesting to you. I know it's a bit different than a lot of the other videos that I've shot in the past because of the camera issue, or I have to determine a good camera to get, and probably better lighting as well. I do have another way to like make a drawing setup on my desk, but yeah, I've always been thinking about that. Yeah, I've been thinking sharing traditional more because that's the stuff that I kind of like more and that I save more. But yeah, if I was going to give advice to you, definitely 11 by 17 paper. You can just, it's wide enough so you could draw on it for a long period of time. I found that like the 9 by 12 printer paper it's okay, but I feel like if you want to do sheer amounts of practice, this big piece of paper really lets you be able to draw with your shoulder and your wrist and just have a lot of free space, and you can just throw this paper away when you decide to. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. More to come. Yeah, I will have to think about sharing other personal work in the future, but you know, I'll have to leave that up to me. Maybe even making some on stream, or if I do stream or something like that. I don't know if I have the proper setup or the RAM to deal with that, but yeah, it's kind of funny. I have more RAM for my day job, but yeah. Oh well, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you all have a great evening. Bye.